Thank you so much once again, and a good day to all of you. I think all of us are in the daytime only, even from different parts. And this is our university. Our university is started in 1957, exclusively for women, started from a school, and now we are university. Right from school till PhD doctorate we have, and this is situated in the southern part of India. And this university is exclusively for community development and women's empowerment. And as I said, of course, the extension and research apart from the academics. And I am the Deputy Dean of the School of Home Science. We have 8 schools, and also a Professor of Food Science and Nutrition. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, this is the topic because I'm working on recently on this research on the 3D food printing technology, how we can achieve food security. It's a very small initial step we have started, but definitely it is going to have, it will be progressing well. That is our hope. Next slide, please. So I will be focusing on the SDG goals 2, the zero hunger. The main goal of 2 is end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainability. So this is our main and promote sustainable agriculture. So our 3D food printing technology as such will be, we are targeting to achieve this SDG goal number 2. Next, please. Yeah. So just a bird's eye view of the world's top countries for food security. And we see that in the past 3 years, there is a deterioration in the global food environment, though there are many countries which are in the index scores. And you can see that, of course, our India is nowhere here, but still in our country, what exactly we are planning to do and what is the food security index. Next slide, please. And the main factors or the main causes or the reason I would say why there is a deterioration in the food security around the world, this is globally, it's because of the conflict. Recently also we saw there are a lot of wars starting from the Ukraine, Russia, and it started like that. And within the 3 years I'm talking about, and of course, the dreaded COVID-19 pandemic and climate change, which is a very gradual, but it is a very significant phenomena, which is affecting globally and the food security. And of course, there are growing inequalities. And all these put together has affected the food security worldwide, because these were all converging, and ultimately the nutrition of the children as well as the health of the community has also been deteriorated, because everything is focusing on the foods that are available, accessible, and affordable. Next slide, please. So these are the goal 2 targets in a nutshell. I just wanted to present here. By 2030, I think all the SDGs we focus on by 2030. So end hunger and ensure access by all people, end all forms of malnutrition, double the agricultural productivity and incomes of small-scale food producers. So some of the sustainable food production systems, the last paragraph I had given here, the sustainable food production systems only we are concentrating on the 3D food printing technology, how technology can make a way for the sustainable agriculture and improved nutrition and productivity. Next slide, please. This is again 5 elements of zero hunger. The previous slide, the same thing I had given you over here. And here, the third one is more important: adapt all food systems to eliminate loss or waste of food. So in 3D food printing technology, as I'll be telling you in the other slides, in the subsequent slides, we will never have any food waste. There will be zero waste. Even a peel or a seed, or a bark or a leaf, anything which we think that it is a food waste, that can be transformed into a 3D printed foods. Next slide, please. So this is again a diagrammatic representation, pictorial representation of the zero hunger by 2030. Next slide. Yeah, this is that arrow marks only that ensure sustainable food production systems, where 3D food printing technology is part of it. Next slide. So we have an aura of foods. I would say you name anything, it is there, and all these foods can be converted into 3D printed foods with all these food ingredients. Next slide, please. So what is 3D food printing? As I said, it's a new dimension in food production. So it's actually a food production process. And as you see here in this picture, it is a layer by layer additive manufacturing. Next slide, please. It will be more clear presentation. This was started according to, in 1981, there was a prototyping machines. It started way back in 1981, and slowly it has taken different forms of generations of 3D food printers, like we have generations of computers. And still we are developing. And the last one here is 2006 was by the chocolate-based 3D printing. And of course, now we have more designs of 3D food printers, but the technology is the same. That's what I wanted to tell here. Next one. Yeah. Here, what is 3D printing? Is a three-dimensional food printing. I think the images are very clear here. It is a form of additive manufacturing technique where we can use the computer software. Nowadays, we are using even the AI. Earlier, we were only using just a software, CAD software. And now we are using an AI, wherein you can see this 3D printers, where there is a nozzle here and it prints the food layer by layer, and all the designs and the colors and what ingredients have to be, that has to be developed by a food scientist or a nutritionist or an entrepreneur who will work on this 3D food printing technology, and also an engineer. Then we'll design the 3D food printer, and then using a software, we have programmed everything, including the design. For example, in the left-hand side, you can see a design. That is a 3D printed design that was developed or designed or created in the software itself. And we can include all sorts of, as I said, no food waste. Any food waste can be transformed. It can be developed into products. And then it can be fed into this 3D food printer. And through the nozzle, it can print it. So we'll have either like, for example, cookies means we need to print this, then take it to an oven, or we have an heating filament at the bottom. Or if it is something to be frozen, we print the chocolates and then we put it in the freezer for the frozen form. Next slide, please. So the most advanced, this is actually a summary of wherever you can use 3D food printers. We can print, the customers can print their own foods using a computer, because everything is designed. The software, even using a smartphone or any IoT device, we can develop our own recipes. So most commonly nowadays, which is available, is in cookies and pastas and chocolates. And we can customize. That is the thing we can do as per the needs of the consumer, especially when it is for a therapeutic use or for any general use, common persons also. So we can have a personalized nutrition as well as a precision nutrition over here. And I want to say here and emphasize the fact that we can attain a zero waste economy, thereby improve the food security and nutritional sustainability, because there is valorization of food waste into value added foods. That's it. Next slide, please. So these are some of the techniques. I will skip. I'll quickly push to the next slide. Selective. There are 4 techniques which we can use. Next slide. This is a selective laser sintering, where we can use the laser technology to print the 3D foods. The picture is over there. Next slide. This is a binder jetting, where there will be a liquid binder which will disperse the liquids, and on that it will be as a layer by layer, as a powder, it will set in. Next slide. Then inkjet printing, just like any 3D, any inkjet printing what we use, the same technique is here, but instead of the ink is actually the food, what we develop. Next slide. This is the extrusion method, is a widely used method. Even we have started using this. And this uses the technique known as fused deposition modeling, where there is a hot melt extrusion process. Of course, we need a lot of technology. It is not only, as the name says, 3D food printing technology. Though we aim for food security and nutritional sustainability, the backup is the technology. So we have to judiciously use which technology, which creative, which design, or which foods have to go into the ink. The food material is the ink that we'll be feeding into the printing. Next slide, please. So these are the applications of 3D food printing in restaurants and bakeries. Whatever I've projected here are all 3D printed foods. And it will not be, actually, it looks like a high calorie food, but definitely we can plan the diet and we can plan the calorie of fat or protein, and what should go into the food, what should not go, how we can value add to this food. So likewise, it looks like as though it is normal cakes and pastries with high calorie or no high fat foods, but definitely these are not high calorie and high fat foods. Next slide, please. So in food industries, they use it for various purposes, but ultimately in the 3D food printing technology in food industries, either it is a small industry or a large industry, it goes for zero waste. The food wastage is taken care, and that is the role of the 3D food printing technology in reducing the wastage and helping out in food security. Next slide, please. So this is some of the 3D printed foods. You can see this, the Singapore only has started all this. They had printed all these foods, making, I mean, that is a carrot puree, and this is a garden pea, like, and they have made it into a 3D printed foods where it is more consumable, more affordable, more acceptable by the people. Next slide, please. In hospitals, this is also a very important thing. For people with celiac disease or elderly population, we are also concentrating on the elderly population now, and we are working on crackers and pancakes for elderly with using 3D printed foods, and difficulty in swallowing all this, and we can tailor the diet for the elderly. Next slide, please. Here, this is another thing I think they have done again in Singapore. You can print the meals for patients using the 3D printing technology. Next slide. So again, for space exploration in an International Space Station, they have used 3D food printing, and it has its own benefits when it is used in the space. Next slide, please. So in India, what have we done is in Tanjavur, that is also in South India, there is a National Institute for Food Technology. There they had developed a first 3D food printer, and there they had printed 3D printing cookies. Here, this is a millet, because millets are actually, that is also a topic I usually talk about. That's my topic, which is very close to my heart, is for the heart is sustainable agriculture, where I usually talk on millets. So in 3D food printing technology, actually, we have converged the millets, which are actually the staple crops of Africa and India right from many years, 2500 BC. But now, because of the other wheat and rice coming into, people forgot that, and now the degenerative diseases have increased. Now again, people have gone back to millets, thanks to the UN for the announcing this year, which is going to end as the International Year of Millets. So in India, they have developed a 3D printed, that is a 3D printed cookies using millets, pulse, that is a green gram, and a fried gram is actually a legume of pulse because of the protein, and some ajwain seeds, it gives some flavor and some digestive properties we have. And this particular snack had high protein and fiber content. It is still in the research. It has not come to the market. Next slide, please. This is one we had fabricated for an infant, for an edible teether using millets. Next slide, please. You can see this, how we had developed this year. We have done this, and we have developed this edible teethers. This is how we use the technology. This is a PG student who has done it with my guidance, and how we created the designs in the software, and then we prepared the food in our foods lab as per the nutrient density and the requirements, and then we fed it into the 3D food printer, and we developed the foods. Next slide, please. So this is the working model of the fusion deposit modeling 3D food printer. That's what we use, and this is the edible teether for infants. This includes some extracts, for vitamins from fruit extracts. So now we are working on some fruit peel, like pomegranate peel, which is very known as a food waste. Also, any peel we take. So all these peels which we throw out, that we are making into a 3D printed. We are including that as part of a 3D printed food, and that's what I said, zero waste. Next slide, please. So as to summarize the 3D food printing technology to achieve food security and nutritional sustainability, as it has got a socioeconomic impact, a commercialization and marketing potential, and health aspect, because we can include what we need, as nutritionists and food scientists or dietitians. We can plan the meal, and for example, for millets or fiber rich, we can improve the gut microbiota also. We can include whatever we want. And also for the environmental and safety aspect, it is very helpful for a sustainable drainage system. And it is 100% natural and eco-friendly. Next slide, please. So 3D food printing, to conclude, it's a new and innovative field, but still it is picking up, and sustainable food technology we are using, and it creates also opportunities for technological platforms. They are very, very useful for providing nutritional sustainability and food security, and ultimately for the community development and for the health of the global health. Next slide. So this is our ongoing research. We have started this with Kodo millet, one type of millet. Next slide, please. Yeah, so do we really need to take this uncertain walk, because we don't know where it is going to land, but we have confidence that 3D printed foods will definitely be, in fact, I would say that just like an oven or a stove, a 3D food printer will be in each home. Next slide, please. So do we really need to take? Yes, considering that this has been the path of nutrition recommendations, we must go ahead with this technology. Next slide, please. I acknowledge my scholars, PhD scholars, for helping me out in this, and also the research, what they're doing. Next slide. And thank you so much. And you can see all the 3D printed foods. Of course, those white ones, that was biopolymers, which we developed first before going for the edible teeth. Thank you.